Well, the Commissioner Dumbo season-end invitational event will be culminating tonight so that we can finally decide upon the final two playoff spots in the East and West. But one thing is already certain. This entire play-in tournament premise is just one of the many idiotic ideas dreamed up by the pathetic shill commissioner of the NBA, Adam Silver. It has thoroughly de-emphasized the importance of the regular season and crippled the overall competitive product even more by giving teams the ability to still have a shot at making the playoffs from as low of a seeding as the 10 spot. There are only 15 teams in each conference here, people, but in addition to embracing and celebrating mediocrity, it has also robbed us of some premier matchups, particularly where we needed them in the garbage can of the Eastern Conference. But thanks to the play-in tournament, more than likely, the 7th seed in the West will not be making the playoffs at all. In fact, the Pelicans entered the final day of the regular season this year as the 6th seed. But after losing to the Lakers in the regular season finale, coupled with the Suns' win over the Timberwolves, New Orleans, with a record of 49-33, dropped into the 7 and a rematch with the LA Lakers. And Zion Williamson was dominating that play-in game against LA, by far the best player on the floor for either team, right up until the 3:13 mark of the fourth quarter when he popped his hamstring. And now he is out for the elimination game against the Kings, coming off of their annihilation and subsequent humiliation of the Warriors. Had we just taken the top 8 seed lines as they fell at the season's culmination, we would be getting a healthy Zion and New Orleans against the defending champion Nuggets. And speaking of injuries robbing us of the matchups we all wanted to see, the putrid and unwatchable Eastern Conference playoffs, ladies and gentlemen.
That is ridiculously bad. It really is.
By far, the most intriguing series in that entire conference's first round would have been the 8-seeded Miami Heat in a rematch of the conference finals from a year ago against the Boston Celtics. The historic Boston Celtics of this season against their daddy, playoff Jimmy. Unfortunately for all of us, Jimmy Butler sprained his MCL in the first play-in game against the Sixers. Oh, and sidebar here, by the way, that injury came in the first quarter. Butler played an additional 30 game minutes after sustaining that injury as the Heat lost to the Sixers by 1 point. Butler, however, will now be sidelined for what is looking like weeks, even if the Heat are somehow able to beat the Bulls without him tonight. And the Heat still are favored, by the way, at home against the Bulls, who were just 39-43 on the year. So now here we are, facing the prospect of a sub-500 team going off to slaughter against the Celtics or the playoff Jimmy-less Miami Heat, robbing us of a truly compelling 1v8 matchup in that otherwise festering turd of a conference.
It's a complete crap.
Thanks for nothing, Commish Penis Head. But as we know, Adam will do anything to get the ratings up. And the good news for the NBA is that Tuesday's play-in games were the two most watched games of this entire NBA season, with the Lakers-Pelicans game drawing 3.9 million and the Kings-Warriors getting 4.1 mil. The bad news is those numbers are still appallingly bad, as virtually every game Caitlin Clark played in the college women's tournament more than tripled those games, with the national championship game between Clark and South Carolina garnering 18.7 million viewers, more than twice both of these NBA play-in games combined. And these two games were featuring the best players of the post-2010 era. I hope it was worth it, Commissioner, because as a result, we have now been cheated out of a juicy little playoff matchup in the East, while in the West, the conference finalists from a year ago will now be meeting in the first round. And had the playoffs merely been seeded with the traditional 1 through 8 at the end of the regular season, the NBA's golden boy LeBron would have been on a separate side of the bracket altogether than the defending champion Nuggets. Woof. Talk about blowing up in the league's faces. Yeah, it is high time to retire this failed little experiment. And while we are at it on the retirement front, perhaps it is time to step aside. Hell, far past time for the nitwit commissioner that has ruined the NBA.